Robinson was charged along with 3 other officers. They met before giving testimony at hearings that examined what happened when Jacansky was stunned with a taser at Vancouver's airport in 2007. Robinson was the senior officer on the scene. He's the second of the officers to be convicted of perjury. One officer was acquitted and another is still waiting for a verdict. Justice Minister Peter MacKay says his office has not received a formal request to reopen the murder case against a former Quebec judge. Jacques Delisle was sentenced to life in prison for the first-degree murder of his wife. But he now tells CBC's The Fifth Estate that he simply supplied the gun that his wife used to commit suicide. MacKay was asked in Montreal this morning whether his department has received the application for a retrial.
To my knowledge, and we checked first thing this morning, we have not received any formal request. The request came to the media, so we'll await any documentation from his lawyer or any formal request, and of course weigh that and look at that request when it arrives. But to date, we have not received it.
Delisle's lawyer, James Lockyer, is calling for an independent review of the forensic evidence that was used at trial. He says it will show Delisle did not kill his wife. Canada's participation in the coalition against ISIS is expanded next week, and if it calls for sending Canadian troops across the border from Iraq into Syria, the military is ready. Prime Minister Stephen Harper says he will present a motion in Parliament next week. Captain Paul Bourget from the Canadian Joint Operations Command in Ottawa spoke to reporters earlier today.
Should there be an expansion of the mission, and again, that's a bit speculative at this juncture. The plan is to bring that to Parliament next week, and those discussions will occur. Once the decision is taken and there is an expanded mandate, we're prepared to support the expansion of that mandate if that's what comes to bear.
Bourget says the military has conducted a total of 53 strikes since the mission against ISIS began last fall in Iraq. Suicide bombers have struck at 2 mosques in the capital of Yemen. At least 130 people have been killed and dozens more wounded. There are unconfirmed reports ISIS is claiming responsibility for the attack. The blast happened after Friday prayers. Alan Johnston has more.
The bombers struck while the mosques were at their most crowded during Friday prayers. Both these places of worship were frequented by supporters of Shiite rebels known as Houthis, who seized control of the capital last autumn. There is severe tension between them and various powerful elements, including militants linked to Al-Qaeda. Any bombings in Sanaa come just a day after clashes in the southern city of Aden between forces loyal to the Houthis and rivals who back the country's president, Abd Rabbuh Mansur Hadi.
That's ABC's Alan Johnston reporting. New documents show the World Health Organization resisted sounding the alarm over the Ebola outbreak for 2 months. Internal emails obtained by the Associated Press show senior staff privately floated the idea of declaring an international health emergency as early as June, but the UN agency didn't do so until August. AP reports directors were against the idea for political reasons, saying it would anger the countries affected and possibly disrupt their economies. Finally, Canadians are paying more for their goods. The latest inflation numbers show it's up 1% in February. That's over the previous month. It would have been higher were it not for lower gas prices. That is your latest BBC News. Remember, we broadcast live and podcast at cbcnews.ca. You can also listen on Sirius Satellite Radio, Channel 169. I'm Carol McDowell.
This is Elijah's Yoga Garden. Please note we've moved from the outdoors to an indoor oasis of harmony downtown. As you can tell, I'm having a hard time containing my excitement. Thank you, and have a beautiful day. Namaste.
Your business is constantly evolving. That's why Monero offers payment solutions that are right for you today and tomorrow. Switch now and enjoy a gift worth up to $500. Call 1-800-MONERO or visit Moneros.com for details. CBC Music, Canada's free online music service with over 50 web radio stations. Experience the calm of classical serenity. This relaxing mix will provide a beautiful background to your day.
It caused the most famous riot in the history of classical music. Stravinsky's ballet, Rite of Spring, did not contain graceful pirouettes from Elvis Cuckoo's No 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 No. The music was harsh,